Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Miss Hope's Reading Hour. I'm so excited. I am so excited. So happy to be here with you all. Okay? Oh, it has been a long time, right, you guys? It has been a long time. Okay? Well, a lot has been going on. Of course, with Miss Hope being in school and the beginning of the school year. Because remember, you guys, I work in a school. So, the beginning of this school year has been kind of crazy, but I wanted to wait to come back to you all to make sure that everything was cool. As you can see, I started changing the backdrop. I was trying to figure out which things I wanted to go together. So just so you know, if the sound is a little different, it's because I couldn't find my adapter for my microphone. So hopefully you all can hear me. If you come on and you cannot hear me, please let me know, okay? Because I need to find my adapter for my microphone, okay? So, just getting back into the swing of Miss Hope's Reading Hour, we will be here between 6 and 6:30. I'm working on the timing. Today I had a few technical things that I was running into, especially because I could not find that adapter. I think I may have left it at school. Hopefully I did not. But I'm so glad to be back with you all. I'm so happy. Oh my goodness. I have missed you guys. I have been picking out books even though I have not been with you all. I have been thinking of some new things to do with Miss Hope's Reading Hour. But I'm just excited about being back. How has your school year been, my young ones? I know that we are only almost at the halfway point of the month of October. And so we're pretty much in the beginning of the school year. Hopefully, your school year has been going well. Some things have been going a little crazy at my school and other schools all around the country. But the one thing that is so awesome is that I'm so happy to be back with the students. The students in my class are doing so well, and I'm glad to be back with them. Of course, we have to wear masks and things, and we have to make sure to keep washing our hands, no putting our fingers in our mouths or our nose or our eyes. Of course, we have to remember all of those things, but other than that, to hear the sound of children playing at recess is just about one of the best sounds in the whole wide world. Okay? So, I'm so happy to be back here with you all. All right? Miss Hope is still in school and working in school. But I said, you know what? There is no more waiting. I cannot wait. I must be back with you all. So I am glad to be here, okay? So if I missed any birthdays out there, happy birthday to you all. Happy birthday to those of you whose birthday is in the beginning of the school year. Happy birthday to Maurice at my school. His birthday is today. I remember when he came in kindergarten, and now I think he's in the 7th grade. I can't believe it. So, happy birthday, Maurice, okay? Um, what else? Huh. Can't think of anything else right now except for I am super excited to be with you all. Oh, wait a minute. Something very important about today. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day to all of those who are of Native American descent, who are indigenous peoples all around the world. Happy day to you all, okay? So, some of you may not know that you may have Native American or from some other country indigenous blood running through your veins. Fun fact about Miss Hope. So, I was very curious about what my heritage was, and I just so happened to do an ancestry. No, it was 23andMe. I think it was 23andMe. Or maybe it was the Ancestry. I think it was Ancestry. So I did the little test where I did the little swab in my mouth. I sent it back. And come to find out, Miss Hope has some Native American heritage. Can you believe it? Okay. I was like, oh, I heard that from my family, from my grandparents. But I was like, I want to be sure. I want to know. And guess what? It was the truth. So I guess happy Indigenous Peoples Day to me as well. So I hope that all of you have had a chance to celebrate. And 2 of the books today that we are going to read are about Native Americans. And so I'm just going to tell you now. I know that I said I was going to give you all a chance to choose the chapter book. This time I did not give you the chance, but I have been waiting to read this chapter book. And there's kind of a reason behind why I want to read it now, but I have been waiting because the book sounds like it is going to be hilarious. A lot of crazy stuff is going to go on in this chapter book, and I am excited to read it with you all. So the next time I come on, which is Wednesday, you will see the rest of the backdrop will be done. Most of it's done. It's much higher than you think, but when you come back, the rest of it, the lower half, will be finished, okay? Now you see the ticker at the bottom of the screen. If you would like to donate to Miss Hope's Reading Hour for Miss Hope's Reading Hour Library, so that I may purchase books to read with you all, please do let me know which favorite books you like, and I will try to read them here on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. You can either donate via Cash App or send digital gift cards to the email address right down here in the ticker. Without further ado, my friends, let us get to the books we are reading today. All right, so our first book is called A Boy Called Slow. This book is by Joseph Bruchac, illustrated by Rocco Baviera. Okay, listen, if you remember, Miss Hope does not like to butcher people's names, okay? So, and this is a scholastic book, as you can see right down here. I picked out 2 books today, and I just so happened to look over at the other book, and they're written by the same author. I did not even realize that today. So, A Boy Called Slow. The second book, which we may not get through all of it, is called The Earth Under Sky Bear's Feet, Native American Poems of the Land, by Joseph Bruchac and Thomas Locker. And this is a Paper Star Books book, an imprint of the Putnam and Gossett Group. So we will get to the chapter book when it is chapter book time, okay? I'm excited about it because you'll see why. I'll tell you why. All right, so let's read our first book, A Boy Called Slow by Joseph Bruchac a scholastic book. Many years ago, in the winter of 1831, a boy was born to the family of Returns Again of the Hunkpapa Band of Lakota Sioux. So the Lakota Sioux are an Indian tribe. Though Returns Again loved his daughters, knowing well that women are the heart of the nation, both he and his wife gave thanks to Wakantanka for at last giving them a son. Now, Returns Again said, we have one who will hunt for his Hunkpapa people and help to protect them. But his wife smiled. Han, she said, we have one to follow his father's path. It was the custom in those days to give a childhood name. Such names came from the way the child acted. So it had been with Returns Again and his father before him. So the parents of this boy and the other relatives in his Tayospe, his extended family, watched the first son of Returns Again closely. If he had tried to swallow everything he could get a hold of, as was the case with one of his cousins, they might have called him Hungry Mouth. But that was not so for this boy. If he were to take much longer eating, his Uncle Four Horns said, the food would bite him before he bites it. Perhaps, his mother thought, if he were quick with his movements and always watching things, they might call him Mouse. But that was not the case for this boy. He never did anything quickly. The son of Returns Again was always slow. Ooh, way, his mother said. Come here quickly. But her son only looked at her. Nihua ho, Returns Again would say, are you sleepy? But it was not sleep that made her son act as he did. It was simply the way he was. Every action he took was slow. Slonhi, his father said. That is the name for our son. His mother agreed. We will call him Slow. So that became his name. Slow's Uncle Four Horns would tell Slow how the horses came to the plains only in the time of Slow's grandparents, and how the horses made their lives easier than they had been in the old days. Some said that the horses were brought by the Wasikam, the white man, but Four Horns told him a different story. The creator, Wankantanka, loves the Lakota people, his uncle would tell him. Wakantanka saw that we had only our dogs to help us pull our travels and hunt buffalo. So Wankantanka sent us a new animal as faithful as our dogs, but able to pull our loads and carry us as quick as the whirlwind into the hunt. The Shungtanka, the spirit dog, which is what they call the horse. As Slow grew up, he was not happy with his name. Few boys were given names they wanted to keep. No one wanted to be known as Hungry Mouth or Curly or Runny Nose or Slow all of his life. But until a child earned a new name by having a powerful dream or by doing some brave or special deed, it could not be changed. Slow wished for this vision of bravery to come to him. He wished for a vision that would allow him to prove himself to his people. Slow longed to have a name like his uncle Four Horns, or like the strong name his father had earned, returns again to strike the enemy. Your father, Slow's mother said, was given his name because of his courage in battle. When the crows raided our village, the others were ready to retreat, but your father was the one who returned. Because of his bravery, the enemies were driven away. You must always help and protect your people, she continued. A true Lakota shares everything with the people. Slow listened to his mother's words, knowing how true they were. He had often seen his father return from hunting and share what he brought back with the poorest people in the village. He remembered 2 winters ago when his father returned from a raid and brought back many horses. Returns again had given all those horses away, except for one strong gray pony, which he saved for his son. The best way, Returns again told him, to gain the respect of your people is to be both brave and wise. Slow understood those words, but by the time Slow reached his 7th winter, he had gained a reputation as one of the strongest of the boys. And when it came to riding, none of the small children was more at ease on the back of a pony than the boy called Slow. Returns again was a man who could sometimes understand the speech of the animals and the birds. Slow too inherited some of his father's gift. He knew that the gray pony understood him, and when he was on its back, it was as if the 2 of them were one. Slow knew that many of his Lakota people could speak with the birds and animals and hear their speech as clearly as human words, and the animals understood them as well. And because he listened to the animals, Returns again was given 4 more names. Wow. That's pretty amazing. You talk to the animals? One summer, Returns again went hunting with some friends. As they camped at night beside their fire not far from the place called Smoky Butte, they heard a sound approaching them. It was a low sound, like a deep voice talking. Someone was coming along the trail which led between the low hills. The other men reached for their weapons, but Returns again stopped them. There, coming slowly along the trail toward them, was a big bull buffalo, its head close to the ground. The deep murmuring sound came from its throat. The other men could not make out what the buffalo was saying, but Returns again heard it clearly. Returns again listened carefully as the buffalo spoke, for the words it spoke were names. Tatanka, Iotake, Tatanka, Piska, Tatanka, Winyuhanaji, Tantanka, Wanjala. Those were the 4 names spoken by the great buffalo. They were powerful names, as the buffalo slowly passed them and continued along the trail until it was over the hill and out of sight. Returns again knew that those names had been given to him. From that day on, he owned not only the name Returns Again to strike the enemy, he also owned the 4 names given him by the old bull buffalo. Whoa, look at that buffalo. Slow was proud to have a father with such names as Returns Again and Tatanka Iotake. One day he promised himself he too would have such a strong name, but he knew that it would not be easy. So as Slow wrestled with his friends, as he hunted with his bow and arrows, as he raced his gray pony, he always tried to do his best so that one day he would become a good warrior. Slow was careful and deliberate in everything he did. It might take him a while to decide, but once he put his head down and went forward, he would not turn back. At the age of 10, he killed his first buffalo, a yearling calf. His mother skinned the buffalo calf, and with his 2 sisters helping, tanned its skin and made it into a robe for him to wear. Though he was still called Slow, no one teased him any longer. His name now meant determination and courage to those who knew him. That's pretty impressive at the age of 10. As the winters passed, Slow grew. He was not as tall as some of the boys his age, but his shoulders were broad and strong. One evening, he heard word in the camp that his father and some other men were going to ride out against the Crow, one who his father called his favorite enemies. Slow knew that the Crow were great warriors and had some of the best horses on the plain. Slow had now seen 14 winters and was old enough to go along. He wrapped his robe made of the skin of the buffalo calf around his shoulders. He picked up his bow and his quiver full of blunt, pointed arrows that he used for hunting birds. He quickly brushed his gray pony's tail and plucked a burr from its mane. "Mitakola," he said, "my friend, we are ready to help protect our people." Determined, he rode through the cottonwood trees until he reached the trail his father's war party had taken. Before long, Slow came to the place where they had chosen to gather and make plans. He rode into their midst, and before his father or any of the other men could speak, he jumped from his pony's back and put his arm over the animal's neck. "We are going," Slow said. Returns Again looked around at the other men and then looked at his son with pride. "Han," he said. The war party began to ride to the place where the Red River meets the Missouri River. When at last they were close to the place, the men who had been sent ahead as scouts came back. "Upelo," the scouts said, "they are coming." The men began to make preparations. They put on their best clothing and brought out their paint to mark their faces and their horses. They uncovered their war shields and took out their coop sticks and their lances. From behind a small hill, they had a good view of the plain before them and could see the enemy coming from a long way off. Whoa. I wonder how they felt. Was Slow excited? Was he scared? Probably everything. Closer and closer the enemy came, ready for attack. Everyone waited for Slow's father to give the word. But as he waited, Slow's father looked over to his right. There, already mounted on his horse, was Slow. All that he wore were his moccasins and his breechcloth, and he held a coop stick in his hand. He looked over at his father, then he kicked his horse's sides. "Hi-you-whoa!" the boy shouted. His horse leaped forward and over the top of the hill, down toward the enemy. His father and the rest of the war party tried to catch up, but Slow's horse was too far ahead. Oh, he wasn't scared at all. Pretty brave. The Crow war party at the base of the hill looked up to see many men galloping down. One of the Crow's warriors drew an arrow to his bowstring, but before he could let it go, Slow had reached him and struck his arm with the coop stick, spoiling his arm. "Oh, hey!" Slow cried in triumph. At the sight of Slow and the men, the Crow warriors fled. "Hi-you-whoa! Hi-you-whoa!" When the fight was over, not one Hunkapapa warrior had been injured. The Lakota people brought back many horses and weapons from the Crow. The raid was a success. Slow was a hero. Wow. When they returned to their village, all of the men spoke in loud voices of the brave deeds they had done. But the loudest voice of all was the voice of Slow's father. He painted his son with black paint, a sign of his victory. "My son is brave," he said. "His determination has won the battle for us. I give him a new name. I give him the name that was mine. He is no longer Slanhi. He is now Tatanka Iyotake." He got his new name. And so it was that the boy who was once called Slow gained the name Tatanka Iyotake, the name which is known well, a name which is known well. For Tatanka Iyotake means sitting bull, one of the greatest of all the Lakota warriors. And this is his story. The end. Oh man, that was an awesome story. Wow. The boy named Slow. Boy called Slow. You know, sometimes we have our own way of doing things. And people will think, oh, well, maybe you're not as smart, or maybe you're slow, but maybe you're just deliberate, determined. You try to think before you do an action or before you decide. And his decision making made him a hero. And just staying true to who he was, who Sitting Bull was. He could have tried to move really fast and do everything like all the other boys did. But no, he stayed true to who he was. And staying true to who he was made him a hero. Let that be a lesson to you young ones and older young ones and adult ones like me. You don't have to do things the same way everybody else does it. You don't have to think the same way everyone else thinks. All you have to do is be yourself. And you can do great and amazing things just being who you are and operating the way you operate. Very good story. Thank you so much, Sitting Bull. Now for our next book, The Earth Under Sky Bear's Feet, Native American Poems of the Land. Also by Joseph Bruchac, illustrated by Thomas Lockhart. And this is a Paper Star book. So we may not read all of these, just read some of them. Ooh, this is still a pretty new book. First time opening it. You gotta bend it back a little bit. The Earth Under Sky Bear's Feet. Grandmother sat in front of the lodge. The small girl beside her watched as the old woman's strong hands finished the weaving of the ash splint basket. The glow of the setting sun reflected from the surface of the river, where autumn leaves swirled in the current. Oxotha, the girl said, my grandmother, we must go into the lodge before it is dark. I'm afraid of the night. Grandmother shook her head. Aya, if we go in too soon, we will not see Sky Bear. Grandmother looked up into the sky, where the patterns of stars that shape the great bear was bright. Soon she will roam around the skyland. Does Sky Bear see everything from up there? Does she hear what we say? Hen, grandmother. As she travels the sky, hen, granddaughter. As she travels the sky, this whole earth is stretched beneath her feet. Listen, and I will share with you some of the stories our old people tell about what Sky Bear sees and hears through the night. So Sky Bear, I believe, is the Big Dipper, if I'm not mistaken. Sky Bear. Long ago, 3 hunters and their little dog found the tracks of a giant bear. They followed those tracks all through the day, and even though it was almost dark, they did not stop, but continued on. They saw that the bear now climbing up a hill which glittered with new fallen snow. They ran hard to catch it, but the bear was too fast. They ran and they ran, climbing up and up until one of the hunters said, "Brothers, look down." They did and they saw. And they did and saw they were high above the earth. That bear was Sky Bear, running on through the stars. Look up now, and you will see her circling the sky. The Mohawk Indians of the Northeast. Song to the Firefly. Beside the great beautiful lake named Gichigumi, the sounds of voices drift up into the summer sky as the children of the Anishinaabe chase the fireflies singing this song. Small white fire beam, give me light around my lodge before I sleep, before I sleep, before I sleep. Small white fire beam, light my way with your fire, light my way with your fire, before I sleep, before I sleep. Small white fire beam, let your light carry me into sleep. Anishinaabe. That's the tribe in the Great Lakes. I love seeing fireflies in the summertime. One more, let's see. Flute song. It is the time when the rains touch the desert. All the corn has been planted and the flowers blossom. Now that it is dark, a young man walks to the lodge of the girl who has touched his heart. Although others may sleep, he now plays his flute. Its sweet notes fill the night, and Skybear hears the song as it lifts to the sky. Kunyeya, Kunhuna, Cheyunwe, Wei Mueta. I am playing my flute here, and I am shaking her heart when the sun goes down. Tashei, Weini, Kima. When the sun goes down, I am making flowers bloom, and my song is in her heart. The Pima tribe of the Southwest. Skybear sees everything. Wababanao, the Northern Lights. Chief Morningstar had an only son. That boy would not play with the other children. Instead, each day he walked to the north and never told anyone where he went. Night fell and the boy did not return. So the old chief followed his son's tracks. He walked and came to a strange land. People there wore rainbows as belts. They had lights on their heads and played with a ball made of light. You are in the land of the Northern Lights, they said. Which one of those boys playing ball is your son? If you do not know, he can never come home. Chief Morningstar chose. My son, he said, is that one. The boy wearing the brightest light. Two great birds flew down to carry them home. Then all around the father and son, the Wababanao, the Northern Lights, played their game in the sky. The Missisquoi. I'm trying to pronounce it right. Missisquoi. That's the tribe Hopefully I said it right. Forgive me if I butchered it. This tribe is from the northeast. Let's see. One more. Of course it would have to be about mice. You know how Miss Hope feels about the mousies, okay? Mouse's bragging song. In the time when the grass begins to run green and the nights grow warm, the animals wake from their winter homes. Sky Bear watches and smiles as she sees one family of little mice who live beneath a log. Because they come out at night, they think they are the only people in the world. Just at dusk they come out, and one little mouse stands on his hind legs. He reaches up so high that he thinks he can touch the sky as he sings. Moshunali, Peze, Yakiski. On this whole earth, who is there like me? Nishana, Machini Kgla. I alone can touch the sky. Yakio, Yakio. I alone can touch the sky. From the Winnebago tribe in the Great Lakes. So we will stop there. Oh, do I like this book? I love this book because it's showing everything that Sky Bear sees. She sees everything going on. All right, my friends. Now, let us change the ambiance. So, my friends, we will be getting into the chapter book. Just a moment. So, our chapter book is called Tommy Storm and the Galactic Knights. I have been so excited to read this book, okay? Because it is, okay, I read a synopsis of the book, meaning like a little short summary of the book. It is going to be a doozy, okay? I can tell you that right now. It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. So, this book is by A.J. Healy, Tommy Storm and the Galactic Knights. The reason why I wanted to read this story at this point in time is because there's been a lot of talk about space travel. They're talking about William Shatner, who, if you don't know who he is, if you're into Star Trek, or if you look it up, he was the first Captain Kirk, okay? So people have gone up, civilians have gone up. There's been 2 space flights. There's going to be a third one with William Shatner, who's 90 years old, and 3 other people. They're waiting for the timing to go up in this space shuttle and go around the Earth for 3 days. So I said, what better time to read a story about a space adventure, okay? So let us get into the first installment of Tommy Storm and the Galactic Knights by A.J. Healy. This is a Quercus Books book. Oh, it's the first time I've read one by that publisher. All right, let's begin. The scoop. If you just want to know the story and want to know it fast, then feel free to skip the footnotes and boxes of information sprinkled throughout. And we can't do that. Curiouser and curiouser. But if you'd like to know as much as possible about the world of Tommy Storm, then the footnotes And the boxes and the extra bits at the end of this book are for you. The story so far. Okay, let me turn that down a little bit. The story so far. Tommy Storm and the Galactic Knights, TS2, is the sequel to Tommy Storm. Oh, I wish I got the first one. Anywho, we still gonna read this, y'all. All right, so wait a minute, do I want to read this? So, if you plan on reading TS1, look away now. TS1 is set in 2096, a time when it's always raining on Earth due to climate change, and the time when Earthlings have known for some years that intelligent life exists somewhere else in the Milky Way. The book opens with an invitation. Earth is requested to send 5 children to a training school called Iggy, located in the middle of the Milky Way. Here they will join other children from across the galaxy and receive training for a dangerous and secret mission. For various ignoble reasons, Tommy Storm, a loser aged 11 and a quarter, is chosen as one of the 5 Earthlings to attend Iggy. Tommy blossoms at Iggy and is put in a dorm with 4 alien kids who go on to become his closest friends. Following a series of challenges and adventures, Tommy and his 4 friends are crowned Iggy Knights and save the Earth from destruction. TS1 ends with Iggy Knights leaving the galaxy on a mission to save the universe from the terrible future calamity, the TFC. That is where we begin. I guess that's the synopsis of Tommy Storm. Now, Chapter 1, Deadly Buzz. The Iggy Knights were in a spot of bother. Tommy Storm, Mariel, Woozy, Rumbles, and Sunny were hanging upside down in a dimly lit cell, their feet and hands bound, their mouths gagged. Tommy, a slight boy of 14, who looked about 12, was a mix of many races, with spiky black hair and dark eyes. But right now, he wasn't a pretty sight. Covered in cuts and bruises, his black trousers were torn, his black shirt ragged. None of the other knights looked quite so bad. Mariel, petite, blonde, and human-like, retained a certain grace despite her shredded clothes and swelling. Woozy and Rumbles showed no sign of bruising, being furry, while Sunny, a small dragon-like creature, sported a ripped t-shirt and a smattering of welts beneath each wing. Tommy opened his eyes. His right one was swollen from a blow he'd received hours, or was it days earlier. He looked around. All the others were asleep, and winced at the all-pervasive odor. A drop of perspiration trickled down his arm. For the umpteenth time, he tried to wrench his wrists and ankles, but they wouldn't budge. Alas, there could be no doubt. They were bound with tinder wire, an extremely flammable substance that's much too strong for any creature to snap with their hands. Tommy eyed the taut wire. From his hands and feet, it stretched vertically to a high metal rafter, looping round it before angling down to a hook low down on the cell wall. There were 4 other hooks beside this one, each one holding a length of tinder wire attached to an Iggy Knight. Mariel's hook was right next to an orange plug socket. He tried to call out, Nothing more than escaped the gag across his mouth. A burst of steam rose from a stack of white-hot rocks across the room, and the temperature rose a notch. Tommy blinked a bead of sweat from his eye and waited for the steam to clear. There, on a table below, were the Iggy Knight's curved swords, known as splashmitars, or shimmies for short. What? He closed his eyes, picturing, concentrating, trying to tap into that inner power known as the surge. If I can lift the top shimmy and make it cut the tinder wire.
So much money with
He fought and strained, sweat rolling from his brow. But 5 minutes in, the greatest reaction had been a vague levering upwards of the blade. Just then, the cell door began heaving open. Tommy opened his eyes and the blade collapsed. The faint metallic sound drowned by his effort-quitting gasp. 3 creatures entered the cell. The first was fearsome and bull-like, with a chainsaw tail that buzzed as she eyed the captives. A muscular arm stemmed from her chest, gripping a baseball bat. The second creature was smiling and furry and licking a lollipop the size of a dinner plate. He leaned against the wall and surveyed the scene contentedly. The last creature was small and twitchy. "All right, you layabouts," he cried. "Rise and shine." He had what looked like a speaker under his arm. With a jabbing snap, he plugged this into the orange socket next to Mariel's foot. Mariel had woken and muffled sounds filled the air as woozy rumbles and summies followed suit. Tommy looked over at his friends. At least they're alive. "Sorry to have left you hanging around for so long," said the small, twitchy creature with a chuckle. "Now, can any of you numbskulls remember my name?" "Well," the Iggy Knights, now known as the 5, tried to answer, but their mouths were still gagged. "It's Knack," said the creature with the chainsaw tail. "Knack Jickelson." Knack smacked his head down hard on the tabletop. "Duh. Shotputsa. I wasn't asking you." Shotputsa swung the baseball bat violently towards her buzzing tail, splicing half an inch of wood off of the end of it. "How was I supposed to know?" "So yeah," intoned Knack, shaking the grogginess out of his head and addressing the 5. Now you're sure of my name. Be sure that I will get the truth out of you this time." There were 2 heavy metal tables in the cell. The 5's shimmies rested upon one. Taking a seat, Knack placed the speaker on the other. "This is the lie detector," he said, tapping the speaker. "It's called Puff, which stands for Pants on Fire, and it's fitted with the latest anti-porcupine technology. So no fib, however small, will go unnoticed. When I turn it on, it will make a loud buzz anytime anyone in this room tells a lie." He pointed at Rumbles. "Shotputsa, cut down that 3-armed hairy oaf. I reckon she's ready to sing." Knack Jickelson, a human-like, except for the dark, receding, just out of bed hair, tufting from his jittery head, also sprouted along the length of his back, excuse me. His eyes looked as though they wanted to pop out of their sockets, and his black eyebrows twitched dementedly. With her chainsaw tail, Shaputska cut the tinder wire holding Rumbles aloft. The charcoal-furred bear fell to the floor in a heap. Meanwhile, Knack slid a poker into the white-hot stones on the far side of the room. Once Rumbles had been tied to a chair and her gag removed, Knack returned to his seat opposite Rumbles, holding a fiery red poker aloft. I have yet to decide where I'll stick this if you tell me so much as 2 lies. One of his eyes were twitching, as though wanting to leap out of its socket and ram the poker into Rumbles itself. Knack motioned to Shaputska. Remove the gags from the others. Now, he said, addressing the 4 hanging knights, if any of you says a word out of turn, I'll stab your furry friend with this poker. Shaputska flicked on Puff. I'm not afraid of you, said Rumbles, eyes gazing up at Knack. Puff made an angry buzz. Knack smiled, together his eyebrows forming into a V. That's your first lie gone. No more chances. Tell me why you came here to Planet Skanger and searched me out. You work for a rival criminal, don't you? Else you're with the Universe Police and want to bring me in. Rumbles eyed the orange hot poker nervously. I told you before, she said. We all have told you we're trying to save the universe from the TCF, meaning the terrible future calamity, which is due to destroy the universe and everything in it in less than 18 years. And we don't know where to start. We don't even know what the terrible future calamity is. Knack looked over at the lie detector. It was silent. He thumped it to ensure it was still working. Rumbles continued in a splurge of nervous energy. In the 3 years since we left Iggy, we visited many galaxies and talked to lots of scientists, geography teachers, and paw readers. With no success. So, when we heard about you, a notorious criminal genius, we thought we'd seek you out. We hoped you might be able to come up with some scrap of information that might point us in the right direction. Knack stared at the paw. It hadn't made a sound. Ho, ho, ho. Well, we are out of time. See, I got caught up. See, I already can tell. This book right here gonna get me caught up. Anywho, so glad I was able to be here with you all today. I can't wait to see you again on Wonderful Wednesday. This was a marvelous Monday to be with you all. Thank you for tuning into Miss Hope's Reading Hour. I hope that you enjoyed the books, and I hope you are interested in hearing more about Tommy Storm and the Galactic Knights, because I am. With all of that being said, thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to see you again and read again with you on our Wonderful Wednesday broadcast. Until then, my friends, see you next time.